Welcome to Audible Stories. The Incomplete Love. Long time ago in Babylon, ruled by Queen Semiramis, there lived the most beautiful young man was Pyramus. And the most beautiful maiden was Thisbe. The parents of the two lived next door to each other, so the young people often visited each other. And so this friendship eventually developed into love. The couple wanted to marry each other, but their parents opposed it. However, what the parents could not stop was the flame of love burning in their hearts. The two whispered to each other with gestures and glances, and the more they whispered, the more powerful the flame of love burned. There was a crack in the wall between the two houses. It was caused by some building mistake when the wall was built. No one had noticed it until now, but these lovers discovered it. What could love not discover? This gap became a passage for their words and true feelings. And through this gap the sweet whispers of men went back and forth. When Pyramus stood on one side of the wall and Thisbe on the other, their breaths mingled as they spoke. "Heartless wall, why do you separate us? But we will never forget your grace. It is thanks to you that we can at least whisper these words of love." Such words they whispered on both sides of the wall, and when night grew dark, they had to part. They could not get any closer. The man kissed the wall on his side, and the woman kissed the wall on her side. The next morning, when the son of dawn had banished the stars from the night sky and had melted the dew on the grass, the two met at their same usual place. Each day and night happened the same, and then one day, they lamented their cruel fate and finally devised a plan. The next night, when all the family was asleep, they decided to leave the house and go out into the fields to avoid the watchful eyes. They decided to meet by the tree at the famous mausoleum, which was beyond the village border. This tree was a white mulberry tree and stood near a cool spring. After everything was agreed upon, they waited for the sun to set under the water, and for the moon at night to rise above it. Finally, Thisbe covered her face with her veil and carefully left the house so as not to be seen by her family, and sat down under the tree which had been promised as the appointed meeting place. As she sat alone in the twilight of the evening, a lion appeared before her. It came near the spring to drink. Its mouth was smelling of something it had just eaten. When Thisbe saw it, she ran away and hid in a cleft of the rock. But as she ran away, she dropped the veil she was wearing and her scabbard holding her dagger. The lion, having drunk from the spring, turned to go back into the forest, but when he saw the veil lying on the ground, he swung it with his bloody mouth and tore it apart. Pyramus approached the appointed meeting place late, and found the footprints of lions in the sand. At that moment his face turned pale. After a while he found the veil torn into pieces and covered with blood which was lying beside the dagger. He cried out, "Oh poor Thisbe, it is all my fault that you are dead. You are more worthy of life than I, and now that you have gone ahead, I will follow you. It was my fault that I brought you to this terrible place and left you alone. Come on, you lions, come out from the rocks, and tear this sinful creature apart into pieces with your teeth." Pyramus went to the appointed place with the veil in his hand, and soaked the tree with kisses and tears. "I will dye your body with my blood." He drew her dagger out and stabbed himself in the chest. As the blood flowed from the wound, it dyed the whole white mulberry fruit to red. The blood flowed to the ground, reaching the roots, and the red color went up the stem to the fruit. By then Thisbe was trembling with fear in the rocks. But she thought she should not disappoint her lover, so she walked cautiously and carefully. And then she looked for her lover with an anxious heart, because she quickly wanted to tell him the frightening story of being free from lion's danger. However, when she arrived at the promised place once again, she saw that the mulberry fruit had turned red, and she doubted whether it was the promised meeting place. She hesitated for a moment, and then she saw a person lying in a dying state. Thisbe was startled and stepped back in the dark. A shiver ran through her body, like the ripples of a gentle breeze passing over a calm surface. But when Thisbe felt and realized that it was her lover, she cried out and beat her breast. Then, embracing him as he lay dying, she shed tears over his wounds and kissed his cold lips countless times. She cried out loud, "Oh, Pyramus, what has happened? Speak, Pyramus, it is your Thisbe. Oh, please open up that drooping eyes." Pyramus opened his eyes when he heard Thisbe, but then he closed them again. Thisbe found her veil stained with blood and her scabbard empty of her dagger. "You committed suicide. It was my fault," said Thisbe. "This time I have strength and courage. My love is no less than yours. I too will follow you, for it is all for my own sake. Death has separated you and me, but it will never stop me from coming to you. And our unfortunate parents, please do not refuse our request which she engraved on the mulberry tree. Love and death have combined us together, so bury us in one grave. And you, the mulberry tree, commemorate and witness our deaths. Let your fruits be a memorial to our blood." As Thisbe said this, she stabbed herself in the chest with her dagger. Her parents accepted her daughter's wish, and the good gods also approved it. Their remains were embraced and buried in the same tomb engraved as the incomplete love. Since then, the mulberry tree has borne bright red fruit to the entire world as a souvenir of love all these days. If you like the story, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you for listening.